Good morning, Xiamen University. Thanks again for the many questions. And today, I'd like to answer, what is your favorite city in China? And if it is Xiamen, what is your second? Good question. And as you have guessed, Xiamen is indeed number one. But choosing number two would have been really hard if Xi Jinping had not already chosen it for me almost 20 years ago. We love Xiamen because of both the beautiful place and the beautiful people. My wife loves the sea. I love the mountains. And in Xiamen, we get both. And it is also right across the strait from Taiwan, just 264 kilometers to Taichung, where Sue and I both lived. So the people, language, and culture are very similar. But we were not the first to love both the place and the people. Even in the 1830s, Westerners began writing that Xiamen was the best place in China to do business because it had one of the world's best natural harbors and the people were the most open-minded and hospitable in China. So why were Milan and Fujian people so open-minded? Xi Jinping said at the annual Congress in 2019 that Fujian was the start of the ancient maritime Silk Road, which inspired his Belt and Road Initiative. So for over 1,000 years, Fujian people have been used to people coming and going between Fujian and the rest of the world. In fact, over 2,000 years ago, Fuzhou's Maui was the cradle of China's ocean-going shipbuilding. And a few thousand years before that, Pingtan Islanders settled Taiwan and then the islands of the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Every place from Hawaii and Easter Island down to New Zealand. So, Fujian people were quite literally the world's first truly ocean-going explorers, and that adventurous spirit, as well as the open-mindedness, is in the people's blood to this day. So, another reason Xiamen is number one is that it is home to China's most beautiful university campus, Xiamen University, which next year will be 100 years old, and we will have been here for 1/3 of those 100 years. Xiamen University is so beautiful that during holidays, thousands of tourists from all over China line up, even in the hot sun, to tour our campus. How fortunate that we both live and work at Xiamen University. And we never take Xiamen University or Xiamen for granted. Even after 32 years, each time my wife and I stroll this campus, usually 3 times a day after each meal, we marvel at its beauty. Xiamen has been the #1 tourist destination in China on several holidays, even beating Beijing a few times. People from all over China spend lots of money on planes and hotels to enjoy Xiamen, but Sue and I, we can tour Xiamen for free any day we like. So we never tire of walking Shada's campus, or the boardwalk along the beach, or Shapaway or Zhongshan Road, or visiting the wetlands park, or walking the winding lanes of Gulangyu Islet, which 100 years ago was the richest square mile on earth. In fact, Sue and I have even taken a holiday in Xiamen a few times, staying in a hotel for the weekend and pretending we are tourists visiting this beautiful city. I could write dozens or hundreds of pages on why I like Xiamen. In fact, I've already written thousands of pages. I started out with Xiamen, Magic Xiamen, Discover Gulangyu, Old Xiamen Business, Old Gulangyu and Foreigner's Eyes, Xiamen University, Newer Guide to Xiamen, Haicang, The Fujian Adventure, Magic Fujian, Pingtan, but also a couple other books on my #2 city, which I'll show you in a minute. But there's quite a bit of books on Xiamen and Fujian. So obviously, I love this place. So even though Xiamen is clearly my favorite city, many cities would tie for #2 because I love them for different reasons. Yangshuo in Guangxi has been a family favorite since we first drove there from Xiamen in July 1993. That drive took over 3 days. Whoa, terrible roads then. But today, it's less than one day, and we especially loved its festive atmosphere at Chinese New Year. And we loved staying in a hotel surrounded by the beautiful peaks right outside our windows. Guilin was, of course, also beautiful, but the city was so large and sprawling that the beautiful karst peaks were far in the distance. Beijing is, of course, a favorite because of its rich history. Tiananmen, the Forbidden Palace, the Summer Palace, the Great Wall, of course. Xi'an's massive city wall. Wow, it's like something out of a movie set. And I like the ancient architecture, the terracotta warriors, the ancient stone steels, etc. And most importantly, the people in Xi'an are friendly, open-minded, and hospitable. I love Nanjing because of the ancient history, the architecture, the streets lined by great trees and lit up at night with families strolling together and enjoying Nanjing food and traditional music. And I admire how Nanjing people together gathered over 80,000 bricks within 1 year to rebuild their 600-year-old city wall. They have spirit. I also marvel at Shenzhen because I've watched it transform from rice paddies into one of the most futuristic cities on earth. And I like Lanzhou because of its history and its noodles, of course. And Xining has great weather in summer. I'll never forget the beautiful double rainbow when we drove there in 1994. I could list a few dozen cities I love for different reasons. Hainan's Sanya, Fujian's Fuzhou, Sanming and Longyan. Hangzhou, said by Marco Polo to be the greatest city on earth. Lhasa, Kunming, city of eternal spring. Chengdu and Chongqing. Qingdao, the Bavaria of China. Changsha with its 3,500 years of history. Too many to choose from. So someone else chose for me. In November 2001, when Xi Jinping was Fujian Governor, he said to me at a dinner, "You wrote a book about Xiamen, your second home. You should write a book about Quanzhou, your third home." I'd never thought of Quanzhou as my third home. But after that, I began exploring its rich history, how Marco Polo sailed home from Quanzhou. And Columbus' destination was India and China's Quanzhou, which the Arabs called Saipan, and was start of the Maritime Silk Route, which inspired Xi Jinping's Belt and Road Initiative. When foreigners think of China, they think of three things: tea, silk, and porcelain. Quanzhou was famous for all three: for Anxi tea, Dehua porcelain, and silk that foreigners 800 years ago said was better than that of Hangzhou. And there's Quanzhou's ancient music and marionette performances. And of course, Quanzhou's unique Minnan cuisine with its rich variety of seafood. But most of all, like Xiamen people, Quanzhou people have for centuries been very open-minded and open to foreigners. Like Xiamen, I could share many reasons why I love Quanzhou, which is why in 2003 I did write the book Mystic Quanzhou, and later expanded it into the bilingual Discover Quanzhou. I've spent weeks exploring Quanzhou, Anxi, home of Zheng Chenggong, Hui'an with the walled city of Chongwu and Hui'an girls, and the beautiful beaches, the Maritime Museum with its ancient Nestorian Christian and Muslim tombstones, the twin pagodas by Kaiyuan Temple, etc. It's just endless. So, my favorite Chinese city by far is Xiamen, and Quanzhou is number 2. But if I had to say number 3, there would be a few dozen, if not 100 or more. I hope you'll visit them, especially Xiamen and Quanzhou here in my Meili Milan. 爱拼才会赢，爱不要加油啊！